A lot of students struggle with Osce examinations, and this is primarily the fact that Osce has been designed that way to test how well you do retention. So if you don't plan, if you don't set your goals right, you will definitely become tense during an Osce examination. Now, how do you plan? How do you get rid of this tension? Let's wait and watch out. Just before we talk about what Osce actually, or how to ease Osce rather, let's know what Osce actually is, right? Osce means Objective Structured Clinical Examination. It consists of multiple stations. We have practical written stations or verbal stations depending on your institution. Now, each of these stations are designed to test you on a particular clinical skill. Now, example of clinical skill you can be tested on in Osce are how to perform vital signs, wound dressing, bed bath, oral hygiene, inserting nasogastric tube, blood transfusion, etc. How Osce is designed is that after you take a practical station, you take the next is a written station, and then a practical station, and another written station, practical station, written station, like that. Now, usually about at least 6 practical stations and 6 written stations. Now, the practical stations, after you perform a practical station, you move to a written station where you'll be tested on the theoretical aspects of the practical you just did in the previous station, and then after that you move to another station. Yes, and now in a practical station, there is usually an assessor who assesses what procedure you've performed and then mark based on that. But in a written station, there are usually no assessors in such stations. However, it depends on your institution, so there could be an assessor, but usually there are no assessors. Now, the time limit for Osce is 5 minutes. Now, after you're done with the procedure and 5 minutes has elapsed, you move to the next station. It starts majorly with the ring of the bell. When you hear the bell, you face your assessor, you identify yourself either with your name or your identification number, and then you go ahead to read the instructions. Now, I want you to take note of the instructions. A lot of nursing students do read briefly, trying to manage time, and they just read the instruction briefly and then go ahead to start performing the procedure based on what they can see. It is very important that you take your time to read the instructions. Although you might see the setup and you might think this is what it means or this kind of procedure this probably is, but you can be wrong and then something way simpler than that, and then you waste your time and then you get 0. So you read instruction. You can take a few extra seconds to do that if you need to, but don't take too much time. However, after you've read the instructions, you go ahead and introduce yourself to the patient. You explain the procedure, very important. You gain consent. After that, you can now screen the patient, wash your hands, don your glove, and then you can perform the procedure. After you are done with the procedure, please remember to document, which is another very important aspect of Osce. And then after you document, the bell goes off, and then it's time to go to the next station. Now, the best practice is to finish ahead of time, right? So, because once you hear the bell, anything you say afterwards doesn't count. So you want to make sure you are done and it's documented ahead of time. Now, here comes the big question. How do you cope with tension during an Osce exam? The way Osce has been designed, experiencing tension is almost unavoidable. So you have to be mentally prepared for it. How? I have 5 steps to achieve this. First thing is to be psychologically prepared. It means that when you are preparing for an exam that is definitely going to tense you, you have to prepare your mind. Tell yourself that, okay, this exam is going to be tense or going to make you tensed. So when you do that, it just gives you this edge. It prepares your mind about the tension, and then it makes you adapt well with it. Now, the next thing is to know the equipment well. Now, you don't want to waste time within 5 minutes that's given to you per procedure to start struggling with what each of the procedures, each of the equipments are for. So once you've seen the instructions, you know the procedure, you must know how to use each of the equipments, when to use them, so you don't want to struggle and waste your time, because that is exactly what causes tension. Next is to be familiar with the procedure. A lot of students will, after reading the instructions, will just freeze and they're trying to figure out what the procedure is about and what they should do first, or trying to look at each of the equipment and see if they can get a clue or something. Know the procedure. You must have a scheme when you prepare for your exam, right? Make sure that every procedure in your scheme you understand them well, you digested information and you can perform them very well. So that you don't want to at any point within that 5 minutes, or get frozen at all, get stuck at any point, because that is the magic behind tension. That is what causes tension, bro. What I'm about to share with you guys is the difference between two students who prepared very well for an exam and one person still gets better than the next. This is not because they were taught by two different lecturers. It's same student, same kind of student. Now the reason is because one of them who got a higher mark knew what I'm about to share with you. So if you like yourself, stay tuned. It's simple actually. Be familiar with the checklist or marking criteria. In Osce exam, you really want to do things that will award you mark. You really want to do things that will make your supervisor give you mark. You don't want to waste time doing things that doesn't have mark or doesn't. You understand what I'm saying? How do you know these things? You have to be familiar with the checklist. What's the checklist? Looks like this. Now, this is a list of procedures under the procedure, the main procedure, the list of steps you should take and the marks that will be awarded to you. So you want to only do the things that are in this list. You understand what I'm saying? So you don't want to waste time doing any other thing aside from that. So if you are very familiar with the checklist for a procedure, believe me, you can finish ahead of time very easily and very comfortably and still get all your mark. So as long as you know what to do it and get it over with. Next is to rehearse using the specified time. Your Osce exam might be different from others. Some can be 5 minutes, some could even be 4 minutes, or maybe more than that, I'm not sure. So once you know the specified time limit for your Osce exam, use it when you are preparing for the exam. Rehearse using that time limit. See if you can keep up with the procedure, ahead of the exam. So please rehearse. I know I said 5, but because I like you guys, I'm going to give you one extra tip to help you in your Osce exam. Now, that is be audible. Now, you don't want to be that student in the exam or who is talking to themselves and is like, oh, I'm good in this video, so don't want to pay the so that's why you got the consent, cannot go ahead, we score 0. Thank you guys for watching this to the end. I know you guys enjoyed the video, so if you did, please like button and subscribe